like a big abandonment wound around my father's death. And previously, my 10-year-old, she was very critical of him because he, in her mind, in her opinion, he chose to leave her or me or us. Or phrased another way, if we had mattered more to him, then he would have taken care of himself and not left us.
Hello, Amelia here. What you are about to experience is the second of 3 sessions with an INFJ and I exploring the idea of can she actually be an entrepreneur? Now, if you are interested in watching the first session, the link is in the description below this video. This is a real person with real fear, real doubts, and real pain. And in this session, we cover topics of healing the abandonment wound, feeling safe not knowing, embracing your inner children's wisdom to feel a sense of belonging, having authentic marketing and letting your voice shine, understanding brand archetypes for effective marketing, and listening to your resistance and embracing the lesson within. And all through all of that, we use through some of that, we use the roundtable model. And if you have any questions about that, there is a blog post below for you. And I hope you enjoy. Hello, thank you so much for coming back to session number 2 with us. So how was your week? The highs and lows, things we talked about. Do you have any new insights? How did the validating that 10-year-old inner child of yours go?
The validating went good, went well. I like I said I would, I included those in my captain's orders in the morning, so my affirmations that I do first thing in the morning. And it felt nice. I think my 10-year-old actually heard it, could hear it. So that was a nice thing. And it helped with different insights. So I had a big a big win this week. I after having worked with you last week and having worked with Maria Sumalov that I do also do coaching with, and you know how last time I mentioned that I have like a big abandonment wound around my father's death. And previously, my 10-year-old, she was very critical of him because he, in her mind, in her opinion, he chose to leave her or me or us. He made a choice. Like he was ill and he didn't get treatment in time. And so in her mind, he chose to leave us. Or phrased another way, if we had mattered more to him, then he would have taken care of himself and not left us.
Yep.
So,
and for everyone who's following along, your 10-year-old inner child, for the INFJ is down here, which is the scientist, which is the inward thinking. And that part thinks that it knows things. So it's like, I know that I didn't matter because my dad did X, or I know there's no other reasoning for my dad doing this other than me being abandoned. So it can be really hard to change this thought process because it's so certain that it knows. So that's really good that it's starting to realize, hey, maybe I don't know everything here, which can be really nice insights. So continue.
Yes, actually, when I spoke with Maria last, she said something along the lines of, well, your father didn't choose to leave you. And, in that moment, I was like, but he also didn't choose to stay, and that was very much my 10-year-old.
Yeah. Nice.
But then later on, I got to, because we've been working with inner parenting, improving my inner parenting skills. And I actually sort of got in a conversation. So my inner parent, my unifier, got in a conversation with my 10-year-old, my scientist, and started to ask questions. So not telling her she's wrong, but actually like, what do we know about him, about my father? How did he grow up? What kind of person was he? Who was he married to? And how was that relationship?
Yeah.
How was he maybe conditioned to as a man in the in the late 80s? Was he maybe conditioned to not ask for help because he was supposed to be a strong man and tough it out, and not tough out physical stuff and not go to the doctor for every whimsical reason or whatever. And I starting that conversation, and it was actually like, so yeah, so what do we know about him? And it's more complex than saying he there can only be one version, and that's actually, for me, that's like almost a paradigm shift, because what I spoke about earlier, that perspective was like the one I had lived with for 30 years.
Yeah, and that's a nice, first of all, I'm so glad you've had that shift. What a nice way to break the part of you that is so certain that my pain is going to be around forever. My pain is always going to be there. My parent did X to me, and then I'm never going to have this. And I'm going to bring up the round table model again here, because every Myers-Briggs types, and the Myers-Briggs types are right here, these 4 letters. Every Myers-Briggs type has a decision-making inner child. And when you try to tell the decision-making inner child that they're wrong, whether it's a thinking inner child or a feeling inner child, they're going to essentially tell you to fuck you because they are so certain that they're right. And if you just try to battle with them, like just tell them they're wrong, they're not going to hear you, they're not going to care, and they're not going to be able to have a different way of making a decision. But if you can help them understand, hey, you might be making decisions in ways that your information might be a little biased. So like, let's go back and like, let's figure out what information we're gathering so we can see if the decision that you're making is true or not. So you can help it realize that it's wrong rather than tell it that it's wrong and then get really pissed off, much like most people I think feel anyway. Like when someone tells you that they're wrong, that you're wrong, you're usually like, okay, I have no, like that's not a way to create any kind of solution or dialogue. But if you can slow down and say, okay, what else, like you said, ask questions. Where do you like, what don't we know yet? How can we figure this out? And let's see if you're going to be right about this, because it could have been right or it could have been wrong. So that's really, really important to help change these inner children who's are the decision maker. And that's the thinking, or if you were if you were a predominantly thinker, you would have an inner child. So beautiful job of separating that out and helping to like just open up the possibilities. Is there any other possibility here?
Yeah. Thank you for summarizing it that way. Yes, helping my 10-year-old come to a different conclusion, come to a different decision, not telling her what to do or what not to do, but validating her first. And, like you said with the homework, you're important. I appreciate you. You've done a good job so far. And it's also okay to have feelings and uncertainty, and then work with her, instead of against her. That's really powerful. Yeah.
And that's also, you talked about abandonment. This is also changing the way that you are not abandoning yourself. So your
Yeah.
10-year old's not going like, I know everything. And then the rest of you like shuts down because it's not what you want. But your 10-year-old's like, well, this is the truth that I think. That 10-year-old, that thinking, the decision-making 10-year-old can be very, very certain on what it thinks, and it can shut the rest of you down. And if you know how to start questioning that and start helping it change its mind, that's where these really nice insights can come in.
Mhm.
So what is your 10-year-old thinking now about us talking about about them? And
Um, she's present. She's quite interested and curious, and also enjoying that different, well, what do you call that different dynamic in the inner family. Yeah, actually being guided for once feels pretty good. Yeah.
nice. And what's really cool, what you're doing right now is because the abandonment wounds can be so big, but what you're doing is helping that 10-year-old relax, and then also helping that part of you feel more supported. So as that part of you is just lessening and getting its grip on this wound, it's also feeling less abandoned by you.
Yeah.
So so it's like learning, like maybe there might be a possibility that what I think about my dad is different than maybe what I think it is. And then also I'm also supporting myself more when it comes to being really certain about wounds and feeling not abandoned in that way. Because when we let these inner children, so the two boxes on the bottom half of the screen there, that 3-year-old inner child and that 10-year-old inner child, when we let them just run our life, we often have a sense of abandonment towards ourselves, because they're like, I'm doing all this stuff, you're not stepping up. And as we just do these small things differently, we're changing that dynamic. So it's helping you feel that towards yourself. I don't know if you're picking that up yet, but that's something that can happen further down the road.
Yeah, I know. I'm feeling the beginnings of that, definitely. Yeah. It's
Nice.
just seeing the inner family as a team. Yeah. And with all of them having roles and all of them trying to step up in the case of the inner grown up, but then also to to sit down in the case of the inner children, and get a different balance in it, and at the same time having a family dynamic within is a really cool feeling of, like, there's always someone there. So there, the abandonment is almost impossible in that sense, because the inner family is always there. Yeah. And it feels powerful to consider being able to, like, with the 4 people within, giving myself what I need, being able to give myself what I need, not having to
Yes.
go outside of myself for that. Yeah.
So you mentioned it feels powerful. What else? Are there anything else that it feels for you?
um it feels like there's a community. I mean, being part of a group, not being isolated. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other cool thing about the community. So when you talk about the community, it's all the 4 different parts, because these parts literally they're all of you. So you literally cannot leave yourself. So you are not going anywhere. Like your inner parent might check out sometimes, but it's still there. It might not know how to come back, but it's still there. Your adult self is going to be there, even when it's confused about, oh, I see this perspective. Oh, I see this perspective. Oh, I don't know which way to go, because I see everyone's doing and contributing. I don't know what to do. And then, you're always going to be together, and that's never going to leave you. And when you can have that sense of insight that can be really comforting to that 3-year-old inner child of yours, because it's learning, I'm never going to physically be alone with these other 4 parts of me. So it's literally never going to be able to feel abandoned, because you've got each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you want to work on today? Or do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I don't have anything else to add. What do I want to work on today? That's a good question. I mean, how do we circle back to the marketing stuff?
So
How
can I be an
yeah.
entrepreneur? So where are you at with that now?
Where am I? Huh. You know, I'm realizing that I need to do baby steps, to make baby steps. So throwing myself in the deep end is not gonna work. You know, right now I have I have a cozy part-time job as a public servant.
Mm-hmm.
So um and I want to do the entrepreneur or the mentoring, self-employed mentoring, in addition to that for the time being. So I think that sort of softens the blow a bit with the transition. So being able to try something new without letting go of all the support structure and all the safety um, net that I still feel I need to even be able to, to make a first step into being self-employed. So they're my floaties, kind of, and
Yeah. Yes. And I was reading there's a book called I want to say it's in the originals book by Adam Grant. And if I'm wrong about this, please leave it below. I've read a lot of books similar to this recently. I believe Adam Grant was talking, or maybe it might be Loon Shots. One of those books that talked about often the best entrepreneurs are those who waited for a while and then had another source of income, so it's a bit more stable, and then gradually made the lift off when it was right timing. So it's the best entrepreneurs, they said, according to the research, usually were the ones that waited. So you should so waiting to, quit your job and go all in is usually just going to give you more stress. So slowing down and like focusing on what can I learn with the marketing? How am I holding myself back? So there's going to be other layers that are going to be holding you back, just like there's other layers holding everyone else back that are entrepreneurs. Even these big entrepreneurs have problems that they are holding them back. So as you figure out the marketing, figure out what you're personally putting onto the business, that can help you have the sense of stability while figuring this other stuff out. So it's great that you're taking that approach. If that's right for you, other people just need to go and take off that way. And if that's right for them, that's right for them.
Yeah. No, I think going all in at once would sort of make me freeze. Yeah. So that's being able to take the time I need to learn what I need to learn and to unlearn what I need to unlearn is actually a good thing and sort of a bit of a luxury almost, because in the past it felt like I had to be, perfect, and I was alone and I had to be fast or whatever. So there was a lot, I felt a lot of pressure, and being able to support myself and make myself feel safe, while still not stagnating, but exploring something else that is interesting to me and that I want to try, and that sort of uh, lights up different parts of me, is actually uh, feels pretty awesome to be able to
Nice.
do that.
Yeah, and it's interesting how different you are with just talking about it than last time. So to me, I'm hearing like possibility, I'm hearing excitement, I'm hearing the ability to step into the unknown. So what do you need with that? Because you mentioned feeling safe, feeling like you needed to be perfect in the past. What do you need to help support you right now as you take this next step?
What do you mean by next step?
As in your next step forward that you're doing, because there's always a next step. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah. Um, Good question. So it feels like not having my 10-year-old constantly panicking and pressuring and sort of being like, what do we do next? And this isn't working. And you know what I mean? It feels like that has gone down, that has gone down a lot. And now it's actually the atmosphere within me is different. So I can breathe a little bit and actually consider that, and not from a place of pressure, but from a place of like what makes sense to me and what feels right. And so acknowledging that, I guess, feeling differently about that. That's my next step. And also, I mean, there's still the actual the aspect of the actual marketing and stuff. It would be interesting to find something that is me, not be so concerned about what will land with other people, because I feel like if it comes from within me, if it's authentic, if I can learn to communicate that without trying to tailor it to other people, to what they supposedly want or need or think or whatever, it would, if I found something that was true to me, it would, I feel like it would attract the people that are right, that would actually that they would be attracted by me, by where I am at right now, and then they would be the right people to work with for me.
Exactly. So what are signs that your 10-year-old inner child is piping up in your marketing?
So there's a lot about the technical stuff. So for example, if I want to post something on Facebook, the formatting on the post is such a small detail, but you can't do the formatting within the post. You have to do it elsewhere, then copy and paste it into some kind of formatting tool, and then to actually do make it bold or cursive and have paragraphs and all that, and then copy and paste it again back to Facebook, which is really super annoying. And it was so much effort for me to do the research on that, watch YouTube videos on that, and then find a website to do that. And I did that once, and it so exhausted me, and it kept me from from doing more posts, because when I just do the post on Facebook, Like you can't do any bold stuff. You can't do paragraphs. It's just one big lump of text. And most people go like, oh, not formatted. I'm not gonna start reading that.
Yeah. In my opinion, at this point at the time of the recording, people aren't really reading paragraphs anymore. But if you can help simplifying it to a line or two, that can help people read it better than just a long paragraph, because it can be overwhelming to read. So what do you think about, so what I'm hearing is just the formatting is overwhelming to your 10-year-old. Would it help to not have so much pressure on having the right formatting? Because if it feels right and it looks and it's legible, and you can do tests on these, right? You can see, are people responding to this message? Are people responding to this formatting? Are people responding to this formatting? So that might be a nice way to help you test your own market and say, is this actually right for me to worry about the formatting, or can I experiment a little bit here and figure out what's getting reads and what's not even getting looked at?
Okay.
And you might need to do a little bit of this because sometimes it's the text, sometimes it's the layout. So what I'm saying is break the experience, like, because your 10-year-old inner child, that scientist, likes that things to be accurate and right. But the problem is with formatting, there might not ever be a right way of formatting. Because things might change. And some people say use a photo. Some people say don't use a photo. Some people say use a photo of you. Some people say use a stock photo, so like a photo of a mountain. Some people, so there's like a million ways to do it. And you kind of have to research what's best for you here. And you can research by going back and looking at, okay, when I posted this, how did that feel for me? And what were the results?
Okay.
Did this feel freeing when I posted this? Did it feel like I had to do it and then just threw something up there? Did I feel annoyed because the posting got too exhausting? Because the more energy you spend on formatting, the less energy you're going to spend on doing the things, especially formatting, exhaust you. Because I want you to be doing the things that light you up in your mentoring business so you can attract clients the way that you want to attract them. And formatting isn't exactly going to be drawing the people to you, if that makes sense. So your energy is much more important, and you doing the things, as you said, that feels right for you are going to be way more important than just getting the right format. I'm not saying formatting is not important, but what I'm saying is, like, check your energy by the time you get to the end of that and see, is there anything I can do to make it so I'm not taxed by the end of this with the posting? And there's other ways you can do things other than writing the post. You can draw, you can you can do a video, you can not post. And like you said, just go out and be around people. If that is what you have fun and you don't have to overthink, and your 10-year-old doesn't get real stressed out about, maybe just lean into that and see how that goes.
Yeah. That sounds about right. It's actually good. It's so interesting to get hung up on the formatting. I know, but that's my 10-year-old. It has to be perfect, because if we're not perfect, then, and So that was the answer to your question, right? When does she show up? When does my 10-year-old show up in that? Yeah.
Yeah, stress
Yeah.
formatting, and this has got to be right, and the wording's got to be right, and and that's also a lot of pressure that's going to stop you from getting out there more and be able to create more posts if it's got to be right, if the formatting's got to be good. Maybe you just say, hey, 10-year-old, is this good enough? And then just throw it out there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, actually, because it is exhausting. It is so, it takes so much energy and it's not fun. And, it feels like such a drag and such a almost a punishment to have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it
and
takes away
go for it.
it takes away my focus. It takes away the focus from the content, from what I want to communicate to how I communicate. Yeah.
Yep. And what is your brand archetype?
I did the test you suggested to me. The result was the sage.
Yep, the sage. So the sage, and I'm just getting into brand archetypes, so I'm no expert at this. But the sage is all about helping people find freedom by making decisions for themselves. So instead of, and this is just something you can try and see how this goes. Carl Jung is the one who created the brand archetypes, and the brand archetypes are essentially stories that the consumers have going on within themselves. And if you can tell the story to that person in a clear way, then that can help them feel more connected to you and create less time from people seeing your product and then actually buying it. And there are all sorts of examples of brand archetype. Coca-Cola is the innocent. REI, the shop here in the US, is the explorer. My branding is very much the explorer branding to specific Myers-Briggs types. So if you can focus on, and this is just something you can see, and if it feels right for you, that's also something you can, instead of spending time worrying about formatting, see what your message is saying about helping people think for themselves, because so many people don't know what to think these days. They don't know who to trust. They don't know which person to trust. And if that's what you are really good at anyway, then why would you not lean into that?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Well, it resonates with what you said, wanting to help people think for themselves. So empowering people to get to a point where they, where they, like what I said before about that feeling about the inner family for people within, and how that is powerful, because I can give myself what I need and I'm not dependent on other people. So being able to get other people to that point, help them sort of think for themselves and make decisions for themselves and be complete within themselves. That is actually where I want to go. Yes.
Yeah, and think how freeing that is for people.
Mm-hmm.
And as you were saying that, your voice changed. So what I'm saying is, if you can shift your focus to, I'm just going to post about helping people make decisions for themselves, finding their own truth, finding their inner truth, finding the truths within whatever niche I'm working on, that can help resonate with the people who want that. So instead of focusing, because I feel like a lot of people starting out, especially in the coaching and mentoring business, and I did too, feeling very lost of how do I differentiate myself? What the hell do I talk about when there's so many other people doing the same thing? And this can help focus on your effort, and then help you with marketing so much that you don't have to figure things out. You can just go back to the branding archetypes and figure out, okay, what does the sage need to say here about whatever message or to the people I'm trying to connect with.
Yeah. As actually, I'm getting excited about marketing all of a sudden. It's such a different approach. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and that's a sign that things are connecting with you, going from, oh, I fucking hate marketing. This sucks. I have to come up with all the stuff. I have to format this stuff. I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be posting. I've got to figure out all this stuff. Like you just shut down. There's no way this is fun. And then your body shuts down. To being curious and being excited about that. Like think about the energy difference in your posts.
Mm-hmm.
If you start talking about how can I help people figure out their truths.
Yeah.
Because the world needs sages. They're very important. And they're very trusted figures as well.
Mm. Yeah, it feels like I've been playing that role at different times in my life, like sort of making people see things in a different way, and getting more information, and being having more information enables them to make a different decision, or a more well-rounded decision. And it's that's what I can more easily transport through a personal conversation. It becomes more natural to me. It's just like when I start talking to someone one-on-one, and they're open for that kind of conversation. I can come up with all different insights while we're talking, and the other person opens up to me, and that's sort of like almost showcasing already what I'm able to do, and that is pretty cool. But I also want to be able to do that on social media a bit more, because I mean, it's a bit too much work to only do that one-on-one, because it takes a lot of time.
Yep.
And so social media, and I've been thinking about what kind of pictures, or if a picture, or what to post as well. So that's kind of interesting. I want to play with that a little bit more now. So having both, but taking that from how it comes naturally to me in conversation, and trying to transport that to a social media post.
Yeah, and do you have a social media platform you enjoy posting on for your business? Or do you have an idea that what you would enjoy for your business?
I think I mentioned this last time as well. I'm just on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I don't anticipate wanting to go on other platforms for the time being, because this is still. I want to say this is as much as I can handle right now.
Yep.
And I have, a certain amount of so-called friends on Facebook from different periods of my life, and there's the possibility of reaching more people, even though I guess not, probably 90% won't be the right people. anyways, but there's still the possibility of reaching more. And I've already built that. I don't have to start from scratch.
Yep.
So it feels like it's uh, the right place to start.
Nice. And there was your answer. It feels like the right place to start. That's a sign that it's coming from like the balance part of you with marketing versus like, I think this is the right place to start, which is that 10-year-old of yours.
Yeah.
Nice. And just pay attention to how you feel when you're posting. If you are like, this is too much for me, or I don't enjoy this at all, Facebook might not be the platform for you. I'm not saying you need to shut it down. I'm just saying pay attention to how you feel when you're posting, because much like the sage can be like really stepping into the sage with how you help people or the people you want to help. You also need to get the right platform down for finding the right people as well.
Mm-hmm.
So your energy with the sage of this feels right needs to match the social media energy. So it sounds like that could be a really nice match because you were saying that anyway. I'm just saying pay attention to that going forward, because if that's off, then you're not going to enjoy it. Then it just isn't going to work. And then you're going to be frustrated. So.
Right. Yeah, I feel so old talking about social media and stuff and how I'm not. I don't, when you said try, maybe you figure out if that's the right platform, and I was immediately thinking, well, what else is there, And I know there's like Instagram and other stuff, but it's like it's never been a world that I was excited to explore. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I'm not telling you to go on Instagram. I'm just saying do what's right for you. If you find Facebook isn't landing, there's other options for you other than like deciding that your mentoring business is doomed.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's just that my 10-year-old is piping up there again. There's like that panicky feeling inside me, of sort of having to go somewhere else.
Yeah. So it feels like it's having to go somewhere else right now.
Yes.
And how does that make it feel?
I have like this tight feeling in my chest and in my stomach. It's like,
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. And that tight feeling in your chest and your stomach. Are you okay if we explore that a little bit?
yeah.
Yeah. So if that were to be a color, what color would that be?
Oh, I want to say red.
Mm-hmm. And is it texture wise, is it like hard like a baseball or hard like a golf ball, or is it soft and squishy
No,
or
it's hard.
anything in between? It's hard. Got it. And does it have a smell?
No.
No. And how big is it? You said it was in your chest and your stomach, but how much of that, how big is it? Do you know?
What comes to mind is watermelon.
Yeah, nice.
Right?
And how long has it been there for?
That's a good question. For years.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And when this watermelon shape that's been there for years, what do you think its message is?
So what comes to mind is I haven't addressed something that I should have. I haven't learned skills that I should have. And it makes me feel like I'm always trying and running to catch up, but I can't.
Yeah. And that must be really hard.
Yeah.
So you feel like you're always behind?
Yes. And it's very specifically to actually that sort of that sort of uh, I want to say technological advancement.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we are going to, in the round table model, do you have any idea which part or parts is feeling like they haven't learned enough and that you're behind?
I'd say both my inward facing people, so the scientist and the witness,
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah. And what does your adult self need to know?
That what she prioritizes is important too.
Nice. And how does that part feel after you said that?
It's good to be acknowledged, but also still in that place of difficulty um, of not going with the flow, but of being different and considering different things important, and therefore not fitting in with sort of the rest of the world. It feels like sometimes.
Yeah. Because the challenge with being an entrepreneur is there's always going to be something you don't know. And there's always going to be things that you should know. And you should have known, and you could have done differently, and other people know more about these things than you. But it doesn't have to mean that you're behind.
Mm.
And it also doesn't have to mean anything about you.
Mm.
So it could be an opportunity to learn. And I'm guessing your witness, that adult self of yours, enjoys learning and coming up with new insights.
Yeah, definitely. At the same time, there's like I feel resistance going towards learning stuff like that, stuff like that in quotes. Um, yeah, I feel resistance. Like I've convinced because because I don't have an affinity for it. I have created that belief that it's not important. That's probably my 10-year-old again.
Mm.
And um, so I'm so convinced of it not being important that then why should I go there now?
Exactly. Nice job of recognizing that's your 10-year-old inner child. And that's a great question that they have.
Yeah.
because I feel like it's easy for your 10-year-old to go, that's not important, and then move on to the next thing. The challenge is, how are people going to find you if you're not out there standing in what you do really well for people and how you can help people? Especially if you're going to lean into the sage. I'm not telling you to lean into the sage. I'm just saying that's a really nice outlet that can help create more clarity in your messaging. You don't have to figure out things. So you technically don't have to know. You can hire other people. You can focus on what you do really well and then find other ways to find the clients and attract the clients. So you don't have to know everything about social media.
Yeah, but I can't see myself even having that big of a business where I would start hiring other people. That seems very far away.
Yeah. And you don't have to hire people as an employee. You can hire them to do your posts for you an hour, 5 hours a month. So like a virtual assistant. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just saying there are things out there other than just hiring an employee for people who know more about social media than you do. So it can take some pressure off your plate. So what I'm saying is, if you have the space of, I don't want to do this, I seriously don't want to do this, not like a fear base or a stance that is based on like beliefs that aren't helpful for you. But if it's a healthy, like, this isn't right for me, this will never be right for me, I don't want to do this, this drags me down, there are other options for you out there hiring people. But if that's not right for you, then there are ways that you can, like, marketing can be fun to where it doesn't even feel like marketing. Like you were just talking about, oh, this can be fun. And then maybe just learning and leaning into that more and more.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to explore the fun part, to see if it can be fun, if it can be something I just haven't learned yet. And maybe, which also can be an outlet for my creativity. So it's a bit of the challenge, I think, to tap into the creativity, that I'm not that maybe another limiting belief, that I'm not creative, but I'm I'm starting to see that I might be, if I tried it out, if I gave myself permission. So I definitely want to explore that a bit more before making a decision either way.
Yeah, nice. How are you feeling right now?
Pretty good.
Nice.
Like sort of seeing the different parts of me, and their opinions and struggles maybe around that. And it's very helpful that you help me identify that. And it makes me curious to learn more and explore more. Yeah.
Nice. Because you don't have to know everything. And it's not that 10-year-old's job of yours to know everything, because that's a lot of pressure on that part of you as well.
Yeah.
So it can be a bit more of an exploration. So your homework, if you're up for it, is to look into the sage archetype, or whatever archetype you want to head into, just look more into that and see if this resonates with you, and how can I create a couple posts just by sharing by stepping into that archetype and sharing how it can help people in your way of helping people. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Stepping into the archetype and see how I can help people. Mm. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Slightly uncomfortable, but it's supposed to stretch me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a way for your 10-year-old to not have to figure out marketing. Just like step into that post, not step into that content, and then help you know, kind of narrow down what you can say to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're probably already doing it. It's just not super clear.
Yeah.
So cool. How was what was your biggest highlight for today?
Sort of watching myself going back and forth between my inner grown-up and my inner children, to sort of see where it felt good and exciting and interesting and I wanted to explore, versus I felt overwhelmed and there was so much pressure. It was really interesting to get that much awareness of the different parts.
So thank you so much for your time today, and I will see you on the third and final call.
Yeah. Thank you.